twice then, huh?
Got your.
Sometimes that's all we have.
That's the same thing you guys said it was just going up the Empire State Building.
So far, so good. Yeah. It says sudden stop. It says-
You didn't say anything when you got your file.
That's almost it. If you guys want to sit up front.
Okay, I think we've got 2 o'clock start time. If everybody could take a seat and turn off cell phones. Good afternoon. These are public hearings for code enforcement violations. The hearings are quasi-judicial, and I am the special magistrate appointed to hear these cases. Formal rules of evidence do not apply, but fundamental due process shall be observed. Everyone who has a case today will have an opportunity to present testimony. You may present evidence or witnesses to testify on your behalf. There is no public comment portion. You must be a respondent or be called as a witness in order to speak on a specific case. Everything today is being recorded and all testimony will be under oath. When you are sworn in, please provide your current mailing address so any orders get to the right place. The city will present its case first, and information will be displayed on the screens. Documents may be provided by the city as evidence. The city's PowerPoint presentation will be entered into evidence unless any objections are made. After the evidence, I will make a ruling. That ruling will be reduced to writing and mailed to you. At this time, I will go ahead and swear in the witnesses. Anyone who expects to testify, provide testimony regarding your case, I would appreciate it if you would stand up, if you are able, and raise your right hand and repeat, or not repeat, don't repeat after me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And Code Manager Tolleson, if you would tell us what the first case is today.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. Our first case is the first of a new ordinance the city has started, and it's a lien reduction request, and it's from a past case, 23-002 at 2300 Holdings LLC. If you recall, it was over open storage with secure fence. They have since brought that property in compliance, and as exhibits, I have their lien reduction application, their narrative of the facts, and a copy of the recorded lien for the property. The property assessed $22,900 in fines, and there is $128.53 and administrative costs of $35 for a total of $163.53. That is hard cost to the city, which would have to be paid with or without any reduction. And with that, if I may bring those forms to you, and I will turn it over to Assistant Attorney Jessica.
Thank you. So this is going to be the lien reduction application dated November 22, 2023. And with that is a copy of the order imposing fine and lien. And this was recorded 7/19/2023. All right. How did we get to the administrative costs of $163.53?
There was $128.53, which were the costs of recovery for the city. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that was the $35 filing fee to record the order.
Got it, okay. All right, and that totals $163.53. All right, I will go ahead and admit this into evidence as composite Exhibit 1, consisting of the lien application, the lien reduction application, and the actual lien, which was recorded at Book 9841, page 773. Yes, Assistant City Attorney Farrell.
Good afternoon. The City of Titusville has before you the first of a request pursuant to City Code to apply for a lien reduction in the event that the city's code enforcement lien has been brought into compliance, which is the case here. Since there is no precedent and we have not had any prior requests under this ordinance, there's no guidance to indicate how much the city should recommend as the reduction. Previously to this case, we had in place for approximately 2.5 years the lien amnesty program, which did cap the fine amount at 5%, but that was a limited time offer that was available pursuant to the city's resolution for that. So I don't believe it would be appropriate to automatically declare 5% as the amount to reduce the lien to. And in addition, I expected that the applicant would be present for this hearing, and I see no applicant present at this time.
Traditionally, and I have been involved in these types of lien reduction requests before, traditionally, if the applicant is not present, since they are the one seeking the relief, and if they do not appear, then the relief is denied.
I would be comfortable with that result.
Okay, I mean, to me, that's pretty black and white. That's pretty simple. If the applicant does not appear to present his or her case, then it's not the city's burden to get the city's own lien reduced.
Exactly.
It's the applicant's burden to request the reduction of the lien and go through the code process. So it is, I guess I am making a recommendation, whatever I do today. My recommendation is to deny the applicant's request for a lien reduction because they are not here to present the testimony necessary to go through the number of elements that are set forth in the city's code.
That's correct. And as a matter of procedure, the next city council's meeting will hear this request, whatever your recommendation may be, and they do have the flexibility to modify it at that time, but I believe they will follow your recommendation and they would impose whatever reduction was granted at this time, and I believe the same course would be followed for a denial.
Okay, well, at this point, I'm going to deny the request. I'll put it in writing and it'll get sent out, and then it'll be up to the council to decide what they want to do with the recommendation. Darn it, on our first one.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have, I'm sorry, did you have any indication that the applicant was not going to be present?
No, ma'am. I had emailed the applicant date and time of the hearing at their request. And they acknowledged, and I've had no further contact with them.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next item.
Yes, ma'am, that takes us to our Massey hearings today. Our first one is case number 2358, Dorothy Harris, 3130 Barnett Avenue. It's Jim Flanagan's case. Mr. Austin Flanagan's here today, and I believe that the respondent is here as well.
Go ahead.
Yep, this is case number 2358. I have to submit the affidavit of notice of hearing for today.
Thank you. So this is the Exhibit 1 will be the notice of hearing and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 will be, actually, no, we're gonna do that. Did you have the rest of the exhibits? You just have the notice of hearing and the affidavit. You have the notice of violation and the cost sheet. Okay. All right, thank you. So Exhibit 1 will be the notice of violation and the affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 will be the notice of today's hearing and the affidavit of service. And Exhibit 3 will be the cost recovery sheet, seeking costs in the amount of $198.97. You may proceed.
Again, it's case number 2358, Dorothy Harris, 3130 Barnett Avenue. We're here for the Massey hearing for 302.7 accessory structure, 1223 junk and debris, and 1373 inoperative vehicles. The notice was mailed and certified mail on December 4th, and the property was posted, and City Hall was posted on December 27th, 2023. This case was originally heard on November 13th. The respondent was ordered to correct the violation by clearing up all the debris and miscellaneous items associated. The people camping living on the property, I'm sorry, that was supposed to have been taken off, my apologies. They were supposed to fix the fence, do the debris, and remove the vehicle from the property.
Right.
If compliance was not achieved, you recommended a fine of $25 per day if the violation was not corrected by January 5th, 2024, and continue until the violations are corrected, and for the city costs as well. And as of today, those violations still exist. They have not been corrected. These are updated photos from last week. The fence is still in violation. There's still debris in the backyard. These pictures were both taken from the neighbor's yard with their permission. And there's debris on the side of the house that I took a picture from the sidewalk. And the vehicle is still in the driveway with flat tires.
No, you don't see any kind of work on, that has been done at all?
No, I've seen no indication of that.
And they were supposed to come into violation by, or into compliance by December 8th, correct? I'm sorry,
5th.
that was, it was.
January 5th.
January 5th. Okay, $25 per day per violation. Okay, and someone is here on behalf of the
Yes, they're-
respondent? If you want to speak on this?
You wanna talk?
It's the other way here, the other way.
You wanna turn around 180?
Right here, like this way. Okay.
Could you let me know your name, please, and your address?
Pardon me?
Your name and your address.
Dorothy Harris, 3130 Barnett Avenue, Titusville, Florida.
So, Ms. Harris, what would you like to say? What would you like to say about your violations?
I was receiving another letter, and apparently there was some other things that needed to be done but didn't. And I'm trying to do my best because the property is in my name. I mean, 50 years there. And it seems like the neighbors sit and talk each other, back and forth, back and forth. Come here, I want to show you this. Come here, this. Come here, this. Well, I have a troubled boy. He's now in prison. And it really is something that tears my heart. But he says to me that he felt he did wrong and he needed to pay for it. So that's where he is. One of the things, and it was the truck that Eddie, my husband, had sitting in the driveway. And he bought 4 new tires. And he hadn't got all of them in because I'm the pain going to the doctor. I'm actually dying. And, you know, I wanted to try to get things in order before it goes too far. And he didn't get all 4 tires fixed. He had 3 or 2, whatever it is. That was on the table. They don't like a vehicle in the driveway, apparently. But if that's so, the neighbor has 2 cars in front. You know, I mean.
Well, it's because it's not operative, there's nothing wrong with the vehicle in your driveway, but it has to be an operative vehicle. And if the tires are flat, then it's not an operative vehicle. That was an easy fix.
I don't understand it myself. But if they go that I have the property in my name for all those years, it's one that was way back when the golf course was right up to my driveway. And one of the things said something about 2 rats being in the driveway. Well, I don't feel it's my fault because this can have it over here. And now they're building right across the street from us, and they're complaining about the rats that are coming from the new things that they're building there. So until those 2 builders get, you know, finished with their building and so forth, the rats and stuff weren't in my thing, but somebody threw 2 dead rats.
That's not the problem here. The problem is that you have a vehicle with flat tires.
Pardon me?
The problem is you have a vehicle with flat tires
Yeah.
that you had a month to get that fixed. You have a fence that's dilapidated that.
The 2 don't belong to us.
The 2 fences?
The man on this side is the fence. One on this side is the other man. Mine is in the back, and that wasn't touched.
That wasn't touched. No, I guess I'll need the code officer to come up here and explain that.
No, the neighboring fences are her fences, they're not the neighbor's fences. They both stated that those are her fence, and when they moved in and when they redid theirs, it's always been on her side.
Okay.
The gentleman on the left, where I got the pictures from in the backyard, he has a fence in the front part, and he showed me the boundary lines and everything, and it's not even, wasn't even close to hers, it's on her side of the property.
Okay. So first of all, that wasn't something you brought up last time, that's not your fence. And it sounds like that is your fence, and it's in bad shape, and you had a month to try to bring that back, to try to fix that. But most of all, ma'am, I mean, the debris is terrible. It's in the backyard still, and it's in the side yard. I don't understand why that hasn't been looked at.
I hope over the years I've done a lot. I have 8 children, and my one daughter is a principal, and now she's free, but she was 38 years for being being a principal in this state, you know, I don't, like, I'm not here to say, well, this is this and that's that, but I did a lot of plain work. I am a Dutch woman. My parents came from Holland. And when they say, is dat de kiek not more on, so weet niet what de kiek no for, they would look at me and say, what are you standing there for? Get going. I mean, it was actually a lovely training for me, that they had to do what they had to do. So now, I don't think that this is all my responsibility, that I should have been there because the kids no longer live there. They visit, but they don't live there. So
I have the same background as you do, and I mean, I would be very disappointed in my children too if they left my property in that state, but it is under your ownership.
yeah, well, I actually am trying. For my Social Security, I get $4, and I don't have a lot of money with that, believe me, and neither does my husband, but even together, it's not right. But we put the money where we could, eating, sleeping, we don't go anywhere, we don't do anywhere, but we are working on fixing, and we could only do what we could do.
Okay.
Because in the middle of it, I got very sick.
Yes, and I'm sorry. I don't see from the pictures that the officer showed, can you explain what was done to try to clean up all that debris between you and your husband? Did you do anything?
Have some wood, and they wanted to put it around the what do they call it? The little thing that goes out from the back of the house, the sliding glass doors. They wanted to put that around there so that they could, on bad days, be using that as well. So they didn't get that far when the boy that isn't with us right now, things just stopped as far as the woods is concerned. Now, I couldn't do that. I didn't have money, you know, and I would not say to someone, you do this, and then say, well, I don't have any money. No, I didn't hire somebody that could help me. And Eddie is doing as much as he can, but the wood isn't something that one person can lift. He is not supposed to do that, so they did what they could on the days that the kid was there. He's no longer there until maybe 40 more days.
Okay. Anything else from the city?
No.
Okay. Thank you. All right, come on up. Let me have your name, please, and your address.
Edwin Harris, 3130 Barna.
Yes, sir.
I've been trying to get a job for 2 years, and I got a job starting the day after Thanksgiving. And that's putting it down in my available time. Last week I had several days off, and on Thursday I started working on the yard. And a lot of the trash in one of those pictures was bagged up on Friday. I didn't take it to the road yet because our trash day is Thursday. I didn't want it sitting out there.
Are those bags in any of those pictures? Can I see?
No, this was before this is since the pictures were taken.
What's the date of your pictures, Officer Flanagan?
They were last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday?
The work, I started trimming the bush, jungle, whatever you want to call it, along the street and sidewalk on Thursday. There weren't pictures of that, but it was overgrown. And on Friday, I got someone to help me, and we picked up that one area that's the worst in the back corner.
Okay.
I started work on the fence sometime last year, can't tell you when. And I got interrupted by family issues. and I'm hoping to get back to work on the fence within the coming week.
The vehicle, the
I've
vehicle,
kept the insurance on the vehicle, and the registration was renewed last month when it was due. And I'm planning on taking the tires off and taking them somewhere to get them repaired,
okay.
2 at a time. And again, doing that this coming week, this current week, coming week. We're in the week, this week.
Okay.
At the last hearing, you said 60 days. By my count, 60 days is this coming Friday.
Well, I had said it for, the order says it's January 5th.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, January 5th, and that was the date to have everything in compliance.
We're working on it.
Well, the problem is, this was the January 5th was the deadline,
Yeah.
and from that point, the fine will start to run starting January 6th, and today is January 8th.
Right.
So as of right now, you've got 2 days of fines already running, and those fines will keep running every day.
I understand what you're saying.
And, I mean, if you can tick off, one violation at a time, that'll reduce the total amount, but you have to be diligent and let the code officer know as soon as you complete one of the violations to try to keep that fine total as low as possible.
Does he have a card he could give me with his phone number?
I'm sure he can absolutely give you his contact information after your hearing.
Because I'm in a situation where they're stepsons, and I understand from them that he's spoken to them more than once or twice, 2 different stepsons. One's passed now, and the other one is not living with us at this time. And he's spoken to each of them, but I don't believe he's spoken to me.
Okay. Well, I don't know what else to say. The order, you were here last time. The order was sent to the House and, with the deadline of January 5th. And you've got right now $75 per day fine running. And that's going to keep running until you start getting each violation, the junk and debris, the inoperative.
We don't have the money to
vehicle.
pay that. For a few days we do, but not for very long.
And then the fence, the car, the fence, and the debris.
Well, the debris in the back corner, which I saw pictures of, November 13th, was it? Yeah, that has been put in trash bags.
Well, he's got some more, he had some more recent photos just now.
Yeah, well, this was done Friday, the 5th.
But you're not saying that all of that junk and debris was picked up on
The
Friday?
stuff in the back corner was. We got, I don't know, five big trash bags full of
I
stuff.
think the neighbor complained after he told the kids, you can have that. It was a little white thing where they kept tools, and he's a new neighbor there.
It's a
And
different
he
subject.
said, here, we'll give, and as soon as here comes the complaint. Don't want it there, don't want the kids, don't this, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay.
I mean, I really, if that happens again, I just don't know, it makes it impossible that, and nerve-wracking to think that everything that man comes, he's, in the evening, just, hey, come here, and there's one person after the other on his side coming, hey, look at that over there. Well, you gave him that little thing. I mean, it's not good neighborhood.
There are things our neighbors do that we don't care for, but we don't go calling the authorities every time they do something that we don't like.
Understood. I understand. The debris is really out of control. That's not a neighbor being picky. Based on those pictures, that's not just a picky neighbor. That's a serious condition there. All right, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and find that the the property has not been brought into compliance with Section 12-23, junk and debris, Section 13-73, inoperative vehicle, and Section 6-109, 2018 IPMC, Section 302.7, accessory structures, the fence. All three of those violations still exist, and the fine in the amount of $25 per day per violation commenced on January 6, 2024, and shall continue to run until the violations are corrected, and the respondent is ordered to contact Officer Jim Flanagan as soon as any of the violations are brought into compliance, and costs are imposed in the amount of $198.97. Thank you, and I recommend you work as quickly
Is our
as
part
possible.
done?
Is there what?
Is our part done for today?
Yes, you are done.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
I'll see you in heaven.
I hope I get there.
Last time somebody said that.
My dad says it all the time. Thank you. Okay, what's our next case?
Will be 23-59, Clark McClellan, 4100 Trinidad, and Officer Mae Weston as this case.
May Wright. Officer Wright.
So I have one new exhibit, the affidavit for the notice of hearing for the Massey hearing. Did you want to view the notice of violation submitted at the previous hearing?
I don't need that. No.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll admit into evidence the notice of hearing and affidavit of service for today's hearing.
So again, this is the Massey hearing for case number 23-59. Our respondent is Clark McClelland. The violation address and mailing address are the same, 4100 Trinidad Avenue here in Titusville. We had 5 violations. 3 of them had a compliance date of January 5th, and 2 had a compliance date of January 9th. Those 3 for the January 5th compliance date was section 13-26 for the overgrowth, section 12-23 for the junk and debris, and then 13-73 for the inoperable vehicle. So the case was originally heard November 13th of 2023. The owner, Clark McClelland, was in attendance and provided testimony. Again, the respondent was ordered to correct violations of 1326, 1223, and 1373 on or before January 5th, 2024. If compliance was not achieved, a fine of $25 per day per violation for those 3 violations to commence on January 6th and continue daily until the violations are corrected. So for section 304.13 and 304.7, again, that's a February 9th compliance date, and we will have another Massey hearing at that time. Administrative costs in the amount of $198.97 were waived.
And is it your testimony that those last 2 are not in compliance as of today?
All 5 of them are not in compliance.
Got it. I thought if we could tick those 2 off today, but no, okay.
Unfortunately, no. So the Massey hearing was mailed on December 6th. The certified letter was returned December 23rd, unclaimed, unable to forward. I did post the hearing notice on the property and at City Hall on December 28th of 2023. So I spoke with owner Clark McClelland on January 3rd, and then again Friday afternoon, January 5th. He had stated that due to his medical conditions and financial situation, he had been unable to do any work to the property. And it was his, he was going to be here today to present additional documentation from his doctor. I got a call from him last night. He was involved in a motor vehicle accident and was in the emergency room until early this morning and was unable to come to testify.
Okay.
So these pictures are from Friday afternoon, January 5th. No work started on any of them. This is the front of the house. The Nova still remains parked in the driveway, same location, same condition, and no work has been started to remove the overgrowth. This is the left side of the house and the overgrowth against the property line and the house. This is the right side of the property. It's a close-up of the vehicle. Again, the registration has not been resolved. The vehicle's tires remain flat. And our trash and debris remains piled in front of the car, in the garage, and up against the front door. So Mr. Clark had asked, because of his accident yesterday, that we hold off imposing any fines on any 5 of them until the next Massey hearing of January 9th.
What's the date of your pictures?
Friday.
Friday.
These were all Friday afternoon.
And his accident was yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
And I can't imagine that between Friday and today, he cleaned up everything.
My drive-by of the house today, I didn't see any difference other than the blue Solaris that he drives was no longer in the driveway.
So
That was the only change.
You did a drive-by today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Unless the city has anything else to say, I don't know what testimony he could provide today to show he's in compliance with those 3 particular violations. They're clearly not in violation, and I don't know that his testimony would aid in changing the fact that your testimony and the pictures show that those 3 violations are continuing. So I'm not going to continue making a ruling on the 3 violations that were supposed to come into compliance by January 5th. I'm sorry that he got in an accident, but I don't think that his testimony would have added anything to the conclusion. However, he still has the next one to talk about the last 2 violations. Okay, anything further from the city on 23-59?
Nope.
Okay. I'll find that the property was not brought into compliance as to Section 12-23, junk and debris, Section 13-73, inoperative vehicle, and Section 13-26, overgrowth, all of which were to be brought into compliance by January 5th, 2025, based on the evidence and testimony of Officer Wright. The violations clearly exist. I am denying the request to postpone a ruling due to the respondent's recent motor vehicle accident. So the fines are imposed for those 3 violations and will continue to run until the 3 violations are brought into compliance, and respondent is ordered to contact Officer Wright with any evidence of compliance of any of those three violations. We are not making any ruling on the Section 304.13 and Section 304.7 because respondent still has until February 9th to bring those two into compliance. I did waive, or did I waive or reserve?
Waive.
Okay. Well, I did waive the costs of $198.97, so I will I will waive those costs at this point. But the fines shall be imposed for the first three violations. Anything else from the city on that case? Okay. Okay. Next case.
Our next case is also Officer Wright at case number 2360, Francis and John McKayley, 4320 Avenue.
So I have one exhibit for you. This is the affidavit for the notice of Massey hearing for today's hearing.
Thank you. I will take into evidence the notice of hearing and affidavit of service of the notice of hearing for today's hearing.
So again, this is the Massey hearing for case number 23-60. Our respondents are Francis and John McAlee. Our violation and mailing address are the same of 4320 Abbott Avenue here in Titusville. So during the original case, we had 7 violations, including electrical equipment, windows, exterior walls, interior surfaces, accumulation of trash and debris around the exterior, plumbing, and then general interior maintenance for the sanitary condition inside the house. So the original case was heard on November 13th, 2023. Ms. Frances McAlee did not attend. The respondent was ordered to correct the violations on or before January 5th of 2024. If compliance was not achieved, the magistrate was to impose a fine of $50 per day per violation, 7 of them existing, commencing on January 6th. Administrative costs in the amount of $322.24 was assessed. The notice of Massey hearing was posted on the property and at City Hall on December 28th of 2023. The certified and first-class mail was sent on December 4th. The certified letter was returned, unclaimed, unable to forward on December 11th. So I completed an inspection Friday afternoon and did speak with Ms. Francis. She stated that due to her medical conditions, she has been in and out of the hospital since the previous hearing, and her financial situation, she has been unable to start any of the repairs to the house, and was not sure she'd be able to do so in the near future, though her and individuals living in the house did work on cleaning up the house, the inside and the exterior. So all these pictures were taken January 5th, Friday afternoon. Again, exterior, these are the windows that have broken glazing. She did not start any work on that. Previously, at the front door, there was quite a bit of personal items and trash stored. They did clean up that front walkway. The amount of items being stored inside the carport has been drastically reduced. There isn't my previous photos showed a water leak. At this time, there is no water service at the house, so I'm unable to verify the leak has been corrected, but according to the owner, they have not started those repairs. So we still have trash and debris being stored along the exterior of the house. Exterior wall here, they have not started any repairs to it. And again, in the backyard, we still have trash and debris being stored in the rear of the property. This is for the electrical equipment. The electrical box does remain in a hazardous condition. This is inside the house. Of my previous pictures, there was rotting food and trash all over the floor that has been all cleaned out. And the interior is in a extremely better condition than I've seen it in months.
But not in compliance, full compliance, or?
The interior, yes, I'm gonna take the general interior maintenance and put that into compliance.
Okay.
Because they did an amazing job getting that all cleaned up. That being said, again, no work has been started to the interior finishes, interior surfaces.
So you would consider which one, the number 7?
Number
general?
7 is in compliance.
Okay.
For
number-
general interior maintenance.
But the interior surfaces is still in violation?
Yeah, so for interior surfaces, I'm looking at the sheetrock and the walls inside the ceiling and the sheetrock. The general kitchen is not put back together. We still have exposed wiring.
Okay.
So yes, 305.1, that general interior maintenance is the one I'd like to put into compliance as of today, or as of Friday.
Okay.
So in the living room, we still don't have any work started to repair the ceilings and the walls. And again, so the electrical work, that was exposed wiring and the electrical box, no work has been started. Windows and doors, no repairs been started to the glazing. The exterior wall, no work has been started to that exterior wall. The interior surfaces, again, that's the walls, the ceilings, cabinetry in the kitchen. I am keeping the 308.1, the accumulation of rubbish and garbage, because they're still storing it against the exterior of the house and in the backyard. And then the plumbing, we still don't have a kitchen sink, and I have no evidence, plumbing permit or anything else that the leak that was present back in November has been corrected.
Okay. And the respondent is not here today, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and find that respondent was given notice of the hearing but did not appear, that based on the evidence, the photographs and the testimony of Officer Wright, it appears that the violations did not come into compliance by the dates set forth in my previous order, with the exception of violation number 7. That is section 6-109, 2018 IPMC section 305.1, general interior maintenance. That one I will find to be in compliance. However, I'm issuing a finding of noncompliance on the electrical equipment, the windows, skylights, doors, exterior walls, interior surfaces, accumulation of rubbish or garbage, although it is much, much better, there's still work to be done. The plumbing, and those are the 6 that still remain in compliance. The fine shall run $50 per day per violation for 6 violations, shall run beginning January 6, 2024, and shall continue until the violations are brought into compliance. Respondent is ordered to contact Officer Wright every time a violation is brought into compliance until full compliance is achieved. Thank you. Next case.
Yes, ma'am. We're now at our last message here, 23-61, Andrew and Amanda Polk, 1669 Saratoga Drive, and Frank Lewis is the officer in this particular matter.
I'd like to submit the affidavit of notice of today's hearing, the Massey hearing.
I'll accept into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of hearing for today's hearing and the affidavit of service. Great.
Yeah, this case was originally heard on 12/11/23. The respondent was given until January the 8th, should be January the 5th, to correct the violation. And if not completed or brought in compliance, fine of $25 per day, commencing today and continuing daily. Administrative cost of Wood City $146.14 was assessed. The notice was here, notice of hearing was mailed and posted at City Hall. There's been no contact with the owner whatsoever. I did go out Friday afternoon. The front has been cut, but the back has not been touched. This photo was taken Friday afternoon. The photo that's up now, it says 39, but it's supposed to be 61. But I was back again this morning around 9:30, 9:45. Still no change. Still no contact with the owner. Like I say, you can see from here that the front has been cut. It was cut sometime last week, but no other changes, and it's still in violation as of this morning.
Okay. My notes show that they had until January 8th.
Okay, January the 8th.
Yeah.
But it was not done this morning, like I said, 9:30, 9:45.
Right. Okay. And respondent is not present, I take it.
No, ma'am, no contact with the respondent at all.
All right, thank you, Officer Lewis. I will go ahead and find that respondent was provided notice of today's hearing but did not appear, that the evidence and testimony shows that the violation of overgrowth still exists, especially in the backyard, which was confirmed today and by the photos presented today, that the fine in the amount of $25 per day shall commence on January 9, 2024, and shall continue until the overgrowth is in compliance, and respondent is ordered to contact Frank Lewis to confirm compliance. Costs imposed in the amount of $146.14. Thank you. Okay, we are done with the Massey's.
Yes, ma'am, which takes us into the new year. 2401, Titus Holdings LLC. The registered agent is here, as well as his representative, Mr. Stuart Buchanan, is also present and will be speaking for him. We have the authorization.
Okay,
So, this is in reference to a case of a no building permit, and with that, Officer Wright's case, and I'll let her proceed from there.
thank you.
So there's going to be 4 items to submit for exhibit. The first one is going to be the notice of violation and affidavit. The second is going to be the notice of hearing and affidavit. The third is going to be the cost recovery statement in the amount of $198.97. And the fourth exhibit, again, is going to be the owner's authorization form.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 will be the notice of violation and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, the notice of hearing for today's hearing and affidavit. Number 3 is the cost recovery sheet seeking costs in the amount of $198.97. And exhibit 4 shall be owner's authorization form dated 1/8/2024. Please accept this documentation as authorization for, nobody's name is here, to apply for the above selected requests. Administrative action, code enforcement. I can't, it doesn't say who's the authorized person. Doesn't have the authorized person's name on here.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Actually, Mr. Buchanan had emailed me
Just have them
yesterday.
write in
I
their
knew it
name.
was coming, and they did not provide them a copy back, and I just went and grabbed it before we stayed
Yeah.
here, and I did not notice his name was on there, but I have.
You can go ahead
spoken-
and put that in, and so I can put it in evidence.
So we have that. I have already spoke with Mr. Buchanan on the matter, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, and can you, is that Stewart?
Yes, ma'am.
Buchanan, okay. Okay, all right, those 4 will be put into evidence. You may proceed.
Can you rewind it to the first slide? Oh, I can. Hang on. Let's go back. All right. So again, this is the initial hearing for case 24-01. The respondent is Jahas Mahis and Titus Holdings LLC. The violation address is 5071 River Edge Drive, Unit 10, here in Titusville, Florida. I have 2 mailing addresses, 8850 State Road 46 in Mims, Florida, and 1809 East Broadway Street, Suite 174 in Oviedo, Florida. So there is one violation at this time. It's Section 6-56, construction permit required. So the initial inspection was completed on March 15th of 2023. The notice of violation was posted on the property on the 17th of March. The respondent was given till April 17, 2023 to come into compliance. Notices were mailed to both addresses on March 17th. The certified mail sent to the Oviedo address for the notice of violation was signed for on March 23rd, 2023. And the certified mail sent to MIMS was delivered on March 27th of 2023. Notice of hearing, certified and first-class letters were mailed out on December 6th. Certified mail sent to the Oviedo address was delivered on December 11th of 2023. The certified mail sent to the MIMS address has not been signed for and has not been returned to our office yet. Copies of the hearing notice was posted at City Hall and on the property on December 28th of 2023. So while completing inspections on a neighboring property, I observed construction activity at the location. A concrete truck was on the site and workers were finishing up a concrete pad under the deck on the rear of the unit. I am familiar with the owner, so I contacted Mr. Mahis. He explained that they were only doing work was pouring the concrete pad, and that it was going to be where the pavers had previously been on site. So while I was researching the property back at the office, I did find that the configuration of the deck on the rear of the property had been changed, as well as window units on the ground floor of the unit had been changed out from windows to a door unit. Reviewing building permits, I didn't find anything that had been applied for or issued for that unit. Multiple contact with Mr. Mahis by phone since the original inspection date. Last one being in June, at which time he stated he was still waiting on a permit or a copy of a survey for the property. So an alteration permit was submitted for on March 23rd of 2023. Review comments were emailed back to the applicant on the 27th of March. There has been no activity on that permit since those review comments were emailed out March 27th. So this is the picture I took March 15th when I was at the property. Again, they were actively finishing up the concrete slab underneath the rear of the house where the deck is.
Is the deck new?
I'm going to show you, yes.
Okay.
So when I looked at the property appraiser website, I noticed the configuration of the deck was not as I saw during my inspection. And then additionally, I found a photo from an old real estate listing from 2021 that again showed the deck in a different configuration and the windows on that ground floor being different. So going back to the March 15th, the location of the stairs had changed, the configuration and dimensions of the deck had changed, and the ground floor, the windows had changed,
Is this
so.
a townhouse?
Yes, ma'am. So again, this is from the real estate photos, and then my photos from the 15th. So the conclusion effect, at this time, there has been no permit issued for the work done to the townhouse. But I do have people here to speak to you about that.
So it's the change in the configuration of the deck,
The deck,
the stairs?
yes. Previously, the stairs were or the deck had an angle and the stairs were to the south. On the ground floor, you can see the window units. It's all glass. And then it was switched to a solid door unit instead of the windows.
Okay,
And then the concrete pad
right.
is brand new.
And he owns just that unit?
Just that unit.
Okay. Can you show me the real estate one again? Okay.
Did you want me to leave that photo up?
Okay.
Okay.
And did you have other witnesses to call, or you're ready to turn it over to?
I'm turning
respond?
it over.
Okay.
Yeah, no permit's been issued for the work at this time.
Okay. Sir, if you'd like to come up and give me your name and your business address.
Thank you. My name is Stuart Buchanan. My working address is P.O. Box 1545, Titusville, Florida 32781. The property owner here is here today also. The staff is absolutely correct. there was work done without a permit. The owner was cited. A permit application was filed, as staff stated, last year. One of the outstanding comments was there was not a current survey. We hired a surveyor, and this is where it gets a little strange. So those units were approved in unincorporated Brevard for site plan approval, then annexed into the city for building permits. So they're not platted townhomes. It's a condo. I actually worked for the county and went back to my old office to pull the records. And so when we hired the surveyor, he had to actually do the entire complex. The survey was completed last month. We went to the building department today because the building permit was from, application was from March of last year. It's more than 6 months old. They had us apply for a fresh permit, which we did today. We submitted the survey. And so now we're simply waiting for comments to come back so we can receive a permit for the work already done, or whatever comments the building official is going to say, whether he wants them to reduce the deck or, and obviously he'll have to check the wind loads and, the certifications for the doors to make sure they meet current code. So what we're here today is to ask is for 60 days continuance while the building official and the plans examiner comes back with comments, and we can pull a permit and make this right. I will tell you that the complex is in the process of coming back to the city and asking for the condo building to be platted as townhomes. That has nothing to do with this case, other than the fact that it took us a long time to get the survey because the surveyor insisted on doing the entire complex rather than just one platted lot. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So you think 60 days is enough to finalize the,
I don't know how busy your building department is.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. I could always come back if they, and contact staff and request it and say, the building department isn't done or they need this additional item.
I'll get some more input from Officer Wright on that. So I would not continue the case. What I would do is go ahead and give what would be a reasonably sufficient time to complete your permitting process before a fine would be actually imposed. I would set a fine today and then give you the time. So that's why I would like a very realistic time. I mean, if you think it's 60 days, but if you think it'll go longer than 60 days.
I would bow to staff because they're going to have a much better idea than I would.
Right, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Buchanan.
So I do apologize. I did not go to my
Right,
last slide
right.
that had all of my recommendations.
Right.
Can I get my presentation up one more time? So I do apologize.
Okay.
So my recommendations was to provide until March 8th of 2024 to obtain the building permit. As far as how busy or if that's a doable by the building permit staff, I don't know. I don't know what was submitted today.
It would be March 11th.
Okay, thank you. My inclination is to not set people up to fail, and since they did just renew their or reapply for their permit, and they seem to be on a course to get this done the right way, my inclination would be to give them until the April timeframe. So our next one would be April 8th, which would put us at a compliance date of April 5th. So that would be a month after your recommended date. Do you have any problem with that?
I don't.
Mr. Buchanan, any problem with that? All right. Anything else from either side? And your proposed, your recommended fine?
It was going to be $100 per day if they failed to get the building permit. And then we are requesting the administrative costs in the amount of $198.97.
Okay, on the recommended fine, I find that they have been working, doesn't sound like they're denying that they didn't pull a permit. I think $100 a day is maybe a little high for something they appear to be working towards achieving. I'm going to go ahead and put that at $50 a day for the fine. And then the compliance date would be April 5th. Okay, let me go ahead and run through my little spiel here. I find that respondent was provided notice of the appearance, and respondent and a representative did appear based on the testimony of Officer May Wright and of Stuart Buchanan. I find that the property is in violation of Section 6-56A, building permit required, that a compliance date to obtain the building permit for the work that has been done is April 5, 2024. Failure to obtain the permit by April 5, 2024 may result in a fine of $50 per day. However, we will have a hearing on April 8th to determine whether the property has come into compliance. $50 per day would be the amount that would be imposed starting April 6, 2024, and costs in the amount of $198.97 are imposed in this case. And if compliance has been achieved, respondent is ordered to contact Officer May Wright as soon as possible so compliance can be confirmed. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, next case.
Yes, ma'am. 24-02, Officer Wright, ACN Company, 2459 Cheney Highway, and I believe there's also a representative for the respondent in this case as well.
So I have 3 items to submit. The first one is going to be the notice of violation and affidavit. The second is the notice of hearing for today's hearing and affidavit, and the cost recovery statement in the amount of $146.14.
Okay. Thank you. Admit into evidence as Exhibit 1, the affidavit and the notice of violation. The notice of hearing and affidavit is Exhibit 2, and the cost recovery sheet, Exhibit 3, requesting costs in the amount of $146.14.
So again, this is the initial hearing for case number 24-02. Respondent is ACN Company. The violation address, 2459 Cheney Highway in Titusville, Florida. I do have 2 mailing addresses, 2755 North Banana River Drive in Merritt Island, as well as 690 Tamiqua Drive, Merritt Island, Florida. So the violation is of Section 30-39, tree removal permit required. So the initial inspection was on November 8th of 2023. They were given until December 8th, 2023 to comply. Notices of violation were mailed to both addresses on November 9th of 2023. Certified mail sent to the listed owner, or both letters were signed for, the first one on November 15th, the second one on November 24th of 2023. Notice of hearing was posted at City Hall, and a copy was hand-delivered to the facility manager on December 28th of 2023. Certified and first-class mail was mailed out on December 6th, 2023. Certified mail sent to the Tamukwa Drive address was signed for on December 11th of 2023. And the certified mail sent to the Banana River address was returned unclaimed, unable to forward on December 16th of 2023. So while driving in the area, I observed Mo Muscle Tree Service working on the northeast corner of this property. I stopped at the property. I met with facilities manager Walter Jordan and spoke with owner Mike Notary via cell phone. It was explained that Mo Muscle was hired to remove several trees that had fallen over and that the roots were had pulled up during the hurricanes in the fall of 2022, and that one of the trees was damaged or diseased. When asked if they had obtained the tree removal permit or a site development permit, Mr. Notary stated it was his understanding that Mo Muscle was going to handle obtaining that permit. So I contacted Development Services and spoke with Site Inspector Jacob Bagley. He confirmed no applications had been submitted for this property. So the notice of violation was issued and a copy was delivered to the property. So on November 13th, 2023, Mo Muscle Tree Services did submit for a tree removal permit. Upon review, city staff determined that the tree removals that were shown on the submitted tree survey did not meet the criteria for removal according to Code Section 30-32. That many of the trees were found that were cut were mostly still alive or were not evaluated by an arborist to be hazardous to the general public. The permit was denied on November 28th and returned to our department to schedule a hearing. So this is the property located at 2459 Cheney Highway. The work that was done was in the northeast corner of the property. This is a Google Earth view from 2023, June of 2023, in the general location of where the work was being done.
These are 2023 pictures
Yes.
before the work was done?
Yes, this one is dated June of 2023.
Okay.
So this is a photo I took November 8th while I was on the property. Again, multiple vehicles here with Mo Muscle Tree Service. And they were working in the far corner. This was a portion of one of the trees that had been cut down already by the time I made it to the property. This is the property as of December 28th. They had cleared out, there was one live oak, 5 sugarberry trees, and multiple palm trees listed on the tree removal permit. And that's what was removed from the corner of the property. So the contractor failed to obtain a tree removal permit prior to removing the trees on the property. An after-the-fact tree removal permit was applied for but was denied by city staff. So we are requesting that the respondent be assessed administrative costs the amount of $146.14. And because this violation is irreversible or irreparable, we're asking for a fine not to exceed $5,000 be imposed.
And the irreparable nature is that these were not trees that satisfy the,
The criteria for
Criteria.
obtaining a tree removal permit.
and we can't replace them because they're chopped down.
They were chopped down, and there was no, because it wasn't a part of a site development permit, there's no mitigation at this time.
No mitigation.
The trees were removed. Had they applied for a permit, they would have been told those trees cannot be removed without submitting for
Yep.
some sort of development permit.
Okay, so the city is not asking for a daily fine, it's asking for the irreparable, irreplaceable, irreversible under Florida statutes.
Yes, ma'am.
The maximum, the $5,000. Total or per tree?
Total.
Total. Because you can do per tree, but
No, just total.
total. Okay. I'll just double check that code.
As I didn't have a tree count prior, and I
Got it,
didn't have
yes.
any
That makes sense.
true evidence, all I
Yes.
have is photographs,
I understand.
not taken by me.
Let me just double check. Okay, thank you, Officer Wright. You can come on up and if you could give me your name.
Walter R. Jordan, Jr.
What was your first name?
Walter.
Walter. And a business
My business?
address.
My business address is 2459 Suite 88, Cheney Highway, Titusville, Florida, 32780.
And what company do you represent?
I represent Michael Notary. I'm the manager of the Hammocks warehouses.
Okay, what, you've heard the testimony of the officer. What would you like to add?
Mr. Michael Notary asked me not to speak on his behalf. He asked for a continuance. He's at the dentist. It's unavoidable that he was not been able to make it here, but he asked if there could be a continuance.
Oh, did you have any involvement in the tree removal?
I
or-
called Mr. Michael Notary because I thought the trees were going to be removed in a month. And it was on the 7th that the trees were there, that Mo Muscle showed up. I called him and said, they're here, because I knew they were going to pull a permit. But the permit hadn't been pulled, and it was, Jennifer called them out and said, take the trees out. So I notified him that they'd showed up and were going to take the trees out. And he said, well, they have the responsibility of pulling a permit for us. Let them go.
Okay.
So I didn't do anything. I just stood back and watched them cut trees down.
Okay, okay. And Mr. Notary, you said is at the dentist right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was the city made aware that he was going to be requesting a continuance?
I spoke with him on Friday. He had mentioned he had a doctor's or the dentist appointment, and that he had asked, he was going to try to make it to speak, and asked to be set for the last hearing of the day.
Okay.
Prior to the meeting, about 2 minutes before the meeting, he did text me to say that he was not going to be able to make it today.
Yeah. Well, normally, I think I would say I would grant a continuance if there was sufficient notice ahead of time. I'm not sure about a dentist appointment, but he did send a representative here. I understand that you're not supposed to speak for him. What's the city
Since this is not a continuing fine that you would be imposing, and it is one that is substantially different from others, I would request that you continue this case to the next hearing date.
Okay. I'm going to agree with the Assistant City Attorney on this, and although the facts seem to be what they are, I will go ahead and continue the case to the February hearings, which will be February 12th, 2024. And a new notice will go out, a new notice of hearing will go out. And what the Assistant City Attorney was saying was that this is not a typical situation where you could fix it.
Right.
You can't fix it.
Correct.
So what would happen would be a one-time fine of $5,000.
Mr. Michael Notary.
Oh, okay, so before I could even finish, he did appear. I want the officer to go ahead and show you the photos that she showed me, so that you are aware. I hope your dentist appointment went well.
So this was the photo I took December 28th when I was out at the property to drop off the notice of hearing. This is one of the photos I took November 8th while Mo Muscle Tree Service was on site. And again, this is Mo Muscle on site on the 8th. This is a photo from Google View, Street View, dated June 2023 of that corner, the northwest corner of the property. And again, this is the site view of the property.
Right.
So far, the testimony has been that the trees were removed, that an application was made for an after-the-fact permit, but because the trees were determined to be live and/or there was no arborist statement that they were
There was I've got
hazardous.
one statement here from the tree report from the arborist.
Okay, was that submitted with the permit application?
No. What's on file is the application only and a written description. A arborist report was not submitted with that initial application.
Okay, so when was this arborist report done?
Well, this tree report from Mo Muscle,
When was it done?
It's November 7th.
I'm going to ask you to
When
let
they-
the Assistant City Attorney take a look at that, please.
I would also like to ask that the PowerPoint get pulled up and for the officer to present the last slide in the presence of the owner or agent.
You want that one up?
Yes, could you read it? Or he's reading it, I think, himself. So as far as this tree report, this should have been submitted as a component of the application for the tree removal permit. It's not relevant for the code enforcement matter because the code enforcement division does not have the authority to grant a tree removal permit. That application was submitted separately.
What's that? What exactly are you saying?
I don't know if that's tree removal, that tree survey report was submitted as part of the tree removal application, but the
I'm
tree.
surprised it wouldn't have been. I mean, they've had that. Maybe it just didn't get submitted at the same time.
I have no knowledge about those facts, but I know that its relevance here today is minimal compared to what it would have had in the tree removal permit application.
I mean, this was an assessment of what was there.
I would ask Mo Muscle why it wasn't submitted in the tree removal permit application package.
Well, is it, even if it's untimely, is it relevant in terms of, is it a proper arborist? Is it an evaluation made that the trees meet the criteria of not of being okay to cut down.
Would you like to read it?
I mean, I can, I don't know that I don't have that statute in front of me to determine what's the criteria.
It says that they looked at several trees.
Okay.
I don't know if this was one of those several or not one of those several.
Live oak, the crown had severe decay and separated from the trunk. 5 sable palms, 3 of which were severely decayed at the base, and 2 that had large cavities and decay at the base. 3 sugar hackberry trees. They have root rot, fibrous roots are exposed and have reached their lifespan. Recommends to remove the trees immediately. Subordinate techniques will not improve the tree's condition, and they may be a hazard to structures and pedestrian safety. It should be noted that 1 year ago, we removed a live oak from the same property that had fallen on 2 vehicles. Low Muscle Tree Service, it says he's a certified arborist. Now, I can't tell whether these trees are the trees that you showed on your picture. And I'm going to go ahead and continue this case to the February 12th to give the city a chance to look at the arborist report and determine what needs to be done next.
I'd also like to mention that that corner of the lot has been pretty much been ignored for the past 40 years or so. When the drive-in was there, that was actually a retention area over that section, so it was bare before. It's just that that area's been ignored for the past 40 years, so.
I don't know what
it's
you
been
mean by
cleared.
ignored, but, I mean,
Well, it hasn't been maintained. The trees, everything that's
Okay.
there was allowed to grow,
okay.
so.
All
And
right,
I've also got,
I'm continuing the case, so you don't need to present any more evidence. This is enough to me to say the city needs to look at what you have now and figure out what we do at the next hearing, because this is something new that the city hasn't had an opportunity to look at and evaluate. And I think it's only fair that the city have this report now and be able to evaluate it.
there's also been a pre-application to finish developing the property. So I don't know if you want to see that also?
I don't, because I'm going to pretend that the case is brand new when it comes back in February, if it comes back in February.
And again, that's all great information, but that doesn't really need to come to code enforcement. That's something that you would have to get with Development Services and a site inspector to see if they accept it as that. This case actually came and went through them, and they're saying that there is no way that they would ever issue the permit after the fact on this case. So you need to meet with them, and if you can change their minds and that to us, then we'll be fine. But again, they have their own arborist and their own processes outside of.
So in other words, the way the city is presenting the case today, it was a situation where trees were cut down. There was nothing that the city had to say that these trees qualified to be cut down.
Right.
There was no arborist report given to the city before, at least based on the testimony. So their recommended fine was a $5,000 total fine, which under Florida statutes, under Chapter 162, would be an appropriate fine when there is an irreparable violation, and you can't repair a tree that's already been cut down. But if there is a process to obtain an after-the-fact permit, then that could satisfy that, and you coming with this arborist report may or may not satisfy the city that those trees qualified, but because you're just, at least based on the testimony, you're just presenting this now, I don't have enough information to know whether this is a irreparable situation or whether this is a situation where you could actually obtain a permit for the trees that were cut down. So that is why I'm giving you a month to go back to the permitting people with your information, and they can make the determination whether, okay, yeah, these trees did qualify, and then the code officer may or may not change her recommendation.
All right.
Does that make sense? Okay. So that's why I don't want to hear any more evidence, because yes, I'm going to give this back to you. And just, my ruling is just going to be this case is continued until the February hearings. And if the city chooses to go forward, then it'll go forward and you'll get a new notice of hearing. If the city pulls it, then it won't come back.
All righty. All right, so.
Okay. Do we have another case?
Yes, ma'am. 24-03, 707 Gilbert Street, and the officer is Ken Hutchings in this case.
Okay, the name sounds familiar. Officer Hutchins,
Good afternoon and happy belated New Year.
happy belated New Year.
I would like to first go ahead and submit his for evidence affidavit for notice of violation service and the same for the hearing, along with the cost recovery sheet of $216.58.
Okay. Thank you. I will take into evidence as Exhibit 1 is the notice of violation and affidavit. Exhibit 2 is the notice of hearing for today's hearing and affidavit, and the cost recovery sheet requesting costs in the amount of $216.58. $216.58. Okay.
So as introduced, I'm here to present 24-3, obviously for the initial hearing. The respondent, ASP ReadyChem LLC, located at 701 Mills Estate over in Chiliota, and everything was, all correspondence were mailed to that address. The violation address, 707 Gilbert Street, Titusville, Florida. And the violation being Section 6-109 of the 2018 edition of IPMC, Section 304.7, roofs and drainage. And that code defined the roof and the flashing shall be sound tight and have, not have defects that emit rain. Roof drainage shall be adequate to prevent dampness or deterioration of the walls or interior portion of the structure. Roof drains, gutters, downspouts shall be maintained in good repair and free from obstructions. Roof water shall not be discharged in a manner which creates a public nuisance. So the initial inspection was done on 7/5 of 2023, where the NOV was posted. Notice to respondents was in 7/6 of 2023. Mailed certified first class, certified was returned signed for.
Wait, your initial inspection was when?
7/6 of 2023.
Okay.
And the certified mail on 7/17 was returned signed for. Notice of hearings went out on 12/20 of 2023. And certified, I apologize, was posted on 12/20. Certified, what's mailed was 12/7 of 2023. And returned again signed for on 12/17. Date given to comply on or before 1/5/2024. And the follow-up inspections were 7/27, 8/17, 9/5, 10/2, 12/4, and recently, just this past Thursday, was a final inspection to see if any work had even been attempted since the notice of hearing had went out, and no work has been done so far. This photo was taken on 7/5 during the initial notice of violation posting, which was actually done by coworker James Flanagan. And the case, obviously, my presenting it since I've taken over the case. And there has been no change in the condition or any repairs have been attempted to be made as of yet.
Okay. If you could kind of just narrate what you see as the problems with the.
I apologize. Basically, what we're looking at is multiple roof leaks. And what was simply done was a tarp that was placed that would have worked just fine for an initial if there was in fact a plan to have any repairs to be done. But again, as has gone on from the initial on 7/5 to date where no work has been done. And what will end up following up is that tarp will eventually deteriorate. And there's also some other damage to the roof as a condition of simply running off. The whole roof simply needs to be repaired. And again, to reiterate, the conclusion as of today, property remains in a non-compliant state and still in the same violation of the roofs and drainage for the IMPMC.
And your recommended?
And my recommendation is for the individual to apply for necessary permits and make repairs to the roof, or the respondent be assessed administrative cost $216.14. And if the respondent does not comply by 2/9/2024, a fine of $100 per day per violation be assessed.
And have you had any contact with the owner?
I have not. There was a phone message left last week, if my understanding, but other than that they were not going to be able to make it to this hearing. Other than that, there has been no communication.
And no permits applied for at all, right?
No.
Yes, ma'am. Have you had an opportunity to speak to the tenant of this residence?
I apologize. I have, in fact, had
Tenant,
an
okay.
opportunity for the tenant.
And do they still and can show you where the leaks are in the roof?
I have not had a chance to see where the roof leaks are, but according to the tenant, and if I were to contact them, I'm sure they would be more than happy to show me where the leaks are coming through the house.
Okay. Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Based on the testimony and evidence, I find that the owner was provided notice of violation and notice of hearing, but did not appear at today's hearing. And that the evidence shows that there are multiple roof leaks on the roof and a tarp that has been put on, but is exceeding its life expectancy. No work has been done, no permits have been applied for. The property is in violation of Section 6-109, 2018 IPMC, Section 304.7, roofs and drainage. And compliance date shall be February 9, 2024. Failure to comply by February 9, 2024, a fine in the amount of $100 per day shall be imposed for each and every day the violation exists after February 9, 2024. Cost shall be imposed in the amount of $216.14. Thank you. And the owner shall contact Officer Hutchins in the event that they bring the property into compliance. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Our last case today, 24-04, 1450 North Washington Avenue. And again, Ken Hutchins is the officer in this matter.
Okay, Officer Hutchins.
Again, I would like to submit for evidence the affidavit of notice of violation, service, and notice of hearing, along with the cost recovery sheet of $251.80.
Thank you. I'll take into evidence as Exhibit 1, the notice of violation and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2 is the hearing notice and the affidavit of service. And Exhibit 3 is the cost recovery sheet, seeking costs in the amount of $251.80. Smells like popcorn. Burnt popcorn.
Again, presenting case number 24-04. Respondents being Washington Property Investment LLC, 702 Spring Garden Avenue, DeLand, Florida. The violation is at 1450 North Washington Avenue, Titusville. And again, all correspondence were mailed again to that address of Spring Garden and DeLand. And the charges are junk and debris and accessory structure, that being the fence and a wall. And the city code defined for the junk and debris is basically, in short, it should be unlawful for any person to cause or permit junk, scrap metal, scrap lumber, waste products, and discarded around building materials and or unused abandoned vehicles, etc. And city code defined for the accessory structures including detached garages, fences in this case, and walls again in this case, shall be maintained structurally sound and in good repair. Case summary. The initial inspection was done on 5/24 of 2023. And notices to the respondent was on 5/25. Mailed first class, certified was returned as returned to sender, unsigned for, unable to forward, and that was returned on 6/19. The notice of hearing was 12/20, posted at City Hall, certified it was mail was 12/7, and is yet to be returned. Date given to comply was 1/5 of 2024. And have not had any contact, but have spoken with, there was a sign out there with a realtor, and the realtor, from my understanding of this individual, was accepting the responsibility for the maintenance of it. Was told he was going to be sending a maintenance crew out, which he had never done, hence why it went forward into the magistrate. And follow inspections were 6/27, 7/25, 8/7, 9/13, 10/5, 11/13, 12/5, and again last Thursday of this month. And the results of the inspection: no attempts to resolve issues. Property remains in a non-compliant state. This is an example of the debris. And this is an example of the accessory structure, the chain link fence that needs to either be removed or repaired.
It's just falling on the ground, is that?
Yes, it's basically just simply been pushed over, whether it be in the past, vehicles, kids, whatever the case might be. Some of the posts are rusted, so the tension from the chain link fence simply pushes itself over when those poles are no longer holding the fence up. Mm-hmm. And this wall appears to be hit and simply needs to be cleaned up, painted, repaired, if not removed. And again, those two violations, the property still remains in a non-compliant state as of today.
And the debris, it's just, doesn't look like it's that bad. Does it?
The debris itself is scattered kind of throughout, depending on, when these pictures were taken, depending on which way the wind was blowing. But the mainstay for it, and I probably should have, and I apologize for not adding yet another photo. Let me see. But there is, in fact, debris throughout the entire, the entire property. And the recommendation is that the respondent correct the violations on or before of 2/9 of 2024. And in order to correct the violation, remove debris, make repairs, or remove both chain link and block wall. Order respondent be assessed, again, the administrative cost of $251.80. And if the respondent does not comply by 2/9 of 2024, $50 per violation per day should be imposed for each day the violation continues thereafter.
And costs imposed, right? And costs in the amount of $251.80, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And respondent is not present, correct?
Correct.
I find that based on the evidence and testimony, the respondent received notice of the violation and notice of today's hearing, but did not attend. The evidence shows that there is debris scattered throughout the entire property. There is a chain link fence that has fallen onto the ground and is in disrepair. There is a block wall along the property that needs repairs and needs painting. There is a violation of Section 12-23, junk and debris, and Section 6-109, 2018 IPMC, Section 302.7, accessory structures, fence, and wall. I find that the violations shall come into compliance by February 9, 2024, and failure to come into compliance by this date may result in a fine of $50 per day per violation, and shall continue to run until the violations are complied with. And to comply, the respondent shall remove all of the debris throughout the property and shall repair or remove the chain link fence and the block wall. Costs shall be imposed in the amount of $251.80, and the owner is ordered to contact the officer when compliance has been achieved on either of the violations. And that's it. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.